Yo, welcome everyone once again to the We Are Gamers series. My name is your host, Champ Tone, aka Psychosis, a gamer with a passion for Jesus and gaming. And it is once again a true pleasure to grace your space this day. Today we have the honor and privilege of interviewing someone who I've had the pleasure of gaming with in the League of Legends community, someone whose name is, absolutely stellar in just how it is. And sometimes it can be sweet, sometimes it can be sour. But let me introduce to you the Cosmic Candy. Welcome, Cosmic.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. I'm glad you could be a part of this. So, how are you doing today? Good?
So far, so good. Lots of work, but
Mm.
you
Oh,
know,
So, so you haven't gotten into a game
good.
yet because you're having a good day. And
No. Yeah. Exactly.
that's
League
funny.
hasn't ruined my day yet. No.
Yeah, right. I know. I was
Yeah.
I was talking to someone. They're like, "Yeah, I'm having a great day." I'm like, "Oh, you haven't queued up yet?" They're like, "No, no, not
Exactly.
yet." It's like, "I got you." Oh man, all right. So let's let's start it off. All right. So if you can, just let us know your first name and the online gamer name you usually use when you play games online.
My first name is Candice, and I've had a couple gamer tags over the years. It started as medieval on your ass, and then
Wow,
yeah, and then that was back in the Halo days, and then I wanted it to, yeah,
that's good.
I
I like
wanted
that one.
thank you. I wanted it to be a little more girly, so I
Mm,
changed it to like a double entendre of medieval cleavage. um but
wow,
that
that's
that
interesting.
one, yeah, that one drew the wrong kind of crowd, if you know what I mean.
Gee, I wonder why.
uh
I don't know why that
so
would happen.
right, in a community full of males mostly, I couldn't see the problem.
Oh my
um
goodness. And then they find out
uh,
you're actually female and it's like, "Oh my god."
and then it's even worse,
They
yeah,
just
and they're
lose their
like, where
minds.
they do. And
Oh
I think the
no.
most common one was like, hey, go make me a sandwich, and I was like, that's
Wow,
rude.
really?
Yeah. Yes, especially in Halo 2 and 3 days,
Oh
that was
my
like
goodness.
the most common thing is, go make me a sandwich or get back in the kitchen.
Wow. As you're
Yeah,
like wrecking their face though, obviously, because they're just upset
obviously.
and they since they can't beat you, they need to like say something stupid thinking that it's gonna like mess with you and you're just like, okay, buddy.
Is super true. So then I ended up changing my gamer tag to
Wow.
should be cooking,
Should be
just to like
cooking. So you embraced it.
I
You
did. I
embraced
embraced
it.
it.
Oh my
So
god. You really did should be cooking. You should keep
I
that one.
did.
That one is great. Oh my goodness. These names are
um,
absolutely hysterical. Wow.
thank you, thank
Should
you.
be cooking.
Yes.
That's what I'm gonna
And then
call you. Oh.
thanks, thank you. No. But finally, because I think I'm gonna start streaming soon, I had to come up with
Mm.
a name that was streamer friendly, that's not going to attract the wrong audience, and so I landed on Cosmic Candy.
Okay, okay. That one's definitely a bit more neutral. Even though the should be cooking as a streamer name would, I mean, I don't know. I just think that's hilarious because I know why you're using that now. You would use that, which I think is so funny. Oh my god. You
Yeah.
so you really well Halo, I know growing up because I actually know a few people that Halo was a big they were big into Halo female gamers and yeah, the community was so toxic towards females then cuz that was when, a female playing a video game was like and which I've always thought was weird when you find out a female plays a video game, it's like some people just don't they don't know how to handle they just don't know how to handle it. It's like what's wrong with you? She's just a girl. Like why does it bother you so much? Good lord, you're losing your mind because a female just beat you. You know what I mean? Like why is this so bad? I don't know. It's one of those things I've yeah, go ahead.
As if women don't have hand-eye coordination or something, right? Like,
I don't get it. It's like why can't they be good at video games? Why is this such a why do you have to be so toxic about it though? Like there are people I used to play with that were very verbally yeah, they were very verbal with what they would say, and I'm just like, dude, chill out. What's wrong with you? Why are you getting so crazy? You know what I mean? Go back to the kitchen. I'm
It's
sorry.
true.
That one, that one. Oh my goodness. It's like you can't. You're too busy whipping their butt in a video game. You know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly. And I was too. I was whooping their butt.
Mm.
I was pretty good at it. At my well, I was in the military, in the army for 4 years active duty,
Oh wow.
and while I was in, we had a Halo 3 tournament, and
Mm.
I wiped the floor. Like it wasn't even.
That's awesome. And thank you for your service. Wow, that
Thank
is
you.
actually really awesome. That sounds like a great story. Oh my goodness. So they were all like talking all this junk and you're like, "Ooh, let me play."
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yes.
Did you win?
And oh yeah, definitely I
That's
won.
hilarious.
And then the command sergeant major for our base, we were all out at like a group meeting, basically
Mhm.
a battalion
Mhm.
meeting, and
Yeah.
he came and found me in the crowd, and he was like, "I heard you won the Halo competition," and then he like gave me daps, like he did a fist bump
That is
to
so
me in
funny.
the middle of the rinks. I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
He was giving you
And
props, man. It was like,
yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah, he
good
did.
job."
Yeah, it was super funny because like
Mhm.
they announced it and everything, and they went and found me in the crowd. I wasn't expecting
Oh
any
my
of that.
goodness.
Yeah.
Really? So they shouted you out, made a you're just like, "Oh, Lord have mercy." You're like,
Yeah.
Why is this happening right now?"
Yeah, it was a lot, and then a lot of people learned who I was that day, and
I'm sure.
I learned a lot. Yeah. Oh man.
That's
But
great. So that's awesome. All right, so we actually all right, so you gave us all those names though, back to the kitchen. I mean, that I don't know why that just sounds so funny. I like names when I see names like that, I kind of cuz it's like why would they use a name like that? You know what I mean? When you see a name like that online and hearing what you're saying, especially with these idiots. That is so funny. You just embraced it. You embraced their toxicity. You're like, you want me in the kitchen? That's what I'm gonna call myself. Oh my
exactly.
goodness. Oh, I'm sorry. I just think that is so fun. All right, so let's let's keep going. This is great. So if you don't mind, because this next question sometimes is a little tricky. So if you could tell us your age or your age bracket, and at what age did you actually start video gaming?
Okay, I am 36.
Mm,
And I have been gaming since I could hold a controller in my hand.
wow,
I started on original Nintendo
nice.
and played a game called Double Dragon, and then
Mm,
I played all the Mario
Double Dragon.
games. Yeah. Do you know
I
what I'm
know.
talking
Yes,
about?
I do. Yes, I do. With a Bobo.
Oh my gosh, you do know what I'm talking
Yes, I
about. That's
do.
so funny.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It started the dude would punch the girl in the beginning and drag her off, and then that somehow that's your girlfriend, and you got to go fight. You got to go get her. Such a great. It was
The worst 8-bit. The worst.
yes,
Oh
yes.
man.
Everybody,
That's right.
everyone, their bodies were like super bulgy, and yeah, I was a fan of Double Dragon. I liked all of them. I played 1, 2, and 3, and even the ones in the arcade. So
Oh
yeah,
man.
I know
Yeah,
about Double Dragon. Nice,
that's
nice.
what's up.
It is. All right. So what was it really about video gaming that draw you to play them?
Um, I have like well, I have depression and ADD
Mm,
and anxiety, and when I am gaming,
mhm,
it's like I hyper focus and
mm,
I don't think about anything else that's happening in the world. I'm just like in this I'm immersed in this world of game right now,
mhm, mhm,
and I think it's actually helped me a lot in my life as like a way to escape a little bit,
mm,
from things that are happening in politics and in real
mhm,
life,
mhm,
you know.
mm. Interesting. Yeah, no, I definitely can get that. That's actually very interesting. It just helps you to just right because your mind is all over the place. So you need you. It's like it helps you to stop going bonkers in your brain, right? Like
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I kind of know how that is.
it's a still place, you know?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, until someone starts, pissing you off and saying you need to go back into the kitchen, and then you're like, all right, all right. So
Yeah.
you told us when you started gaming, you were pretty young. So when you started gaming, what was your family's what was their general reaction to your gaming? Were they against it? Were they for it? Were they ambivalent? Like how were they cuz I know we've interviewed quite a few people and it's always interesting hearing this because a family's reaction is family's reactions has been so different. So how was your family's reaction really when you started gaming? When they saw it? When they actually saw you gaming and were like, what was their reaction?
Oh man. So like when I was a little kid,
Mhm.
I'm sure they were like, "Yes, oh thank God." Like
Oh my goodness, really?
like yeah, yeah, because they both game. Both my parents
Oh,
do.
okay, nice.
Eh, yeah, and so both my parents and my stepdad. So like all my parental figures are gamers basically.
Mm,
And also like I was the oldest kid in the household. I have two older siblings, but they didn't grow up with me.
okay,
So I could like kind of teach my littler brothers how to play too. So it was like a distraction for all the kids in one go, you know.
nice,
So my parents were probably like, "Woohoo!"
nice. And they were active in
Yeah.
it though, because you said they actually played with you too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome. Like, what games would you guys play together in particular? Do you remember?
Um, we did the Mario games, but
Mm.
I think they became more active with me when the Super Nintendo came out, and we played like all the Donkey Kong games,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, that was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
What other? We had like some. I think it was Fatal Fury was a
Ooh,
fighting game that we
yeah,
played,
yeah,
and we played some racing games.
nice. And
So
so you guys did co-op, or because I know Double Dragon, the first one wasn't the one for NES wasn't co-op. I think you had to play one after the other. And then the subsequent ones were co-op. So did you guys do
right.
more co-op stuff or more yeah, like
Initially it was kind of like on the original Nintendo,
mhm
mostly it was just me. Sometimes my mom would play like the um the Mario Brothers.
mhm mhm.
Um I can't remember if she played it with me. I think we took turns because I think it's a 2D, side
Yeah,
screen.
yeah.
And
That
so
one
yeah,
right. It
I've
was
yeah.
mhm
And so I remember I think that's we took turns with that. But then when you get further in like with Donkey Kong
mhm.
3 or
Yes.
even Donkey Kong 2, you could play simultaneously
Right.
with two players. And so that was more when we started doing some co-op.
Nice. That's awesome. I love hearing those stories. I always feel bad when I hear about the opposite end where the parents like kind of I mean that's how I grew up. My parents they hated they hated gaming because they felt like it was just a waste of time. It led to nothing, you know what I mean? And I still to this day I always mess with my dad because I'm like, "Hey, did you hear about this esports guy? He's making like $2 million playing video games." And he just looks at me and grumbles, you know what I mean?
It's true though. Like
It is.
uh, it is a if you're really good, you can make a
Mhm.
living doing it,
Mhm.
you know. But
Absolutely.
also on a side point to that, have
Mm.
you seen the TED Talk where they talk about is our video games a waste? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, there is a lady who's a game designer and she does a
Mm.
TED Talk, and it is worth watching
Mm.
because um, the conclusion that she comes to is great, and I
Mhm.
won't give it away unless you want me to. But
Go ahead.
I okay, the conclusion that she comes to is
Mhm.
basically if you've enjoyed that time and
Mhm.
it was of value to you, then it's not a waste.
Absolutely. I agree with
And
that 100%. Yes.
yeah, and I do too. I think that although I've spent a lot of my time playing video games, I'm still a
Mm.
very successful, well-adjusted human being.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. A lot of people, that's the whole reason, one of the reasons why I started actually these interviews, getting to know people, cuz there is still a stigma around gaming for some strange reason. And gamers are just people that we just that's our hobby. We like playing video games, you know what I mean? We watch people play video games just like some people watch people play football. They're not good at football. I mean, I think I'm okay at video games though, you know what I mean? People watch basketball that don't even play basketball. But for some reason watching someone play a video game is considered weird. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, it's fun, it's enjoyable, playing it, watching it. You get what I mean? I mean,
I totally do. I would
mm.
never tell my grandpa like, "Hey, like you watching golf is weird," you know?
I mean, I've
It
never
is,
I've never
but no.
under yeah, I know. I was gonna say I've never really it's so quiet. It puts me to it's great for when you want to take a nap. You put it on and it's just the way they talk, it's like such a droned out, all right, he's on the ninth hole. He's and it's a swing. Oh, he's got it in the rough. It looks like you know what I mean? And it'll just put you to sleep so fast. This is I'm sorry, I'm going off on a crazy tangent,
It's true though, but nobody knocks them, you know? But
right?
I guess video games are weird. Like, what?
I know. I know. And that's literally the whole purpose of it. Just so people can get to know the people who play video games. We're all people with lives. I mean, I've interviewed single people, married people, people with 4 or 5 kids, people with no kids, and they're just people who have lives. They have jobs. Some don't have jobs, but they're just people. They're people. You know what I mean? But here, let's go to this next question. So you talked about your family and stuff. So if you don't mind, if you could just tell us about your actual heritage and cultural background.
So that's a really interesting question
Mm.
that I don't know the answer to. I got one of those ancestry things and I'm supposed to spit in it. It's actually sitting right here next to me.
Oh my god, are you serious?
I have no idea.
That's
Uh,
hilarious.
my mom's dad was a he was adopted,
Mm.
and I don't know any of his history, and I don't know my mom's history,
Mm.
and I met my real dad in my 20s.
Mm.
So I'm like I just don't
Interesting.
really
Yeah.
know a lot of my heritage. Um,
But for the most
but
part, you're American, yes?
yes, I was born and raised. I was born in California,
Okay.
so yeah,
Okay. California girls. I
that's
wish.
right.
Okay, I'm not going to sing the song.
We're unforgettable.
Lol, hilarious. This is kind of true. All right, so so I mean, you really don't know too much, but you're basically, you were raised in America, right? For the most part, you were born and raised here.
Mhm,
And has that so I know different cultures view gaming in different ways, and there's always a different experience culturally as well. So, has there really been any positive or negative impact that your culture per se has actually had on your personal gaming experience? I mean, you did talk about your online Halo experiences earlier, and I
mhm.
mean that does that still happen to you, like that sort of thing nowadays?
Not so much now because I stick with a group of friends and I play mostly with people that I know. And so and it's not like back in the day in the
Mm.
wilds of Halo where both sides had comms and you could talk to the people you were against, you know?
Oh, that was so bad. I know about that. That was always bad because everybody was just cursing each other out, using the
The
N
whole
word.
time.
It was horrible. It was so bad. If and you
The
couldn't
whole
talk to your
time.
team because the other team heard what you were doing. It was just yeah, that
Yeah.
was definitely an experience. That I'll say. That much. But
Yeah.
so there's nothing else you've played, like I would say maybe in the last like 5 years, where you use voice comms. And so what about now, like when you talk to people, do you notice like any what's the word? Like do you notice any changes sometimes if you don't talk and then as soon as you talk like suddenly people start acting different? Like have you noticed any of that or no?
I think that's still prevalent, but it always will be.
Mm.
I joined a Discord for one of my other female gamer friends
Mhm.
recently, and there was like 4 or 5 guys in there, and at
Oh.
least 3 of them just started being like, "Oh my God, who are you? Why did you?" And then kind of giving me all these questions, and then hinting at like,
Oh Lord.
saying a little inappropriate things, and
So did they send you to the kitchen though? I mean, that's what I want to know. Did anyone
they they did not send me to the kitchen. Nobody was like, "Go make me a sandwich," but it always, you got to let people know like, "I have
Oh
a
man.
boyfriend," or "I'm
Mm.
36, man.
Wow,
Back
so they
off."
just they just start they just wow, so it's like it's still nonsense but in a different way.
Yeah,
Is what really?
definitely.
That's annoying.
Yep.
That's
It
what
is
I'm
annoying.
That's interesting though. That's it. Cuz I've seen it. I'm not going to lie. I've seen it with a few people that it's like, "Yo, this guy suddenly changed like how they're talking." You know what I mean? Like, "Okay, let's make fun of them later so he doesn't feel embarrassed." You know what I mean? So, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's go to this next one. This is really good. Back to the kitchen. Thank you. So, why I hope you don't mind if I call you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So you still play video games now, yes?
Mhm.
So why do you still choose to play video games now?
Um, if you're asking me about League of Legends, I don't know the answer, but no.
I mean, in general,
Like,
because that's a question we all have to ask ourselves at least once a day after like the second game, and we're like, "Why is this still installed on my machine? Why? Why do I do this to myself?" No, but I mean,
'cause we're addicted. No.
sadly, yes, that is one of the reasons.
No. They have figured out how to hit you with that toxic relationship
Oh my goodness.
attachment, It's
Mm.
like what's that called? Stockholm syndrome? Yeah,
Oh my
that's
God.
basically what League of Legends gives you.
Oh
Um
man. It's true though.
but
That's
no.
that's the sad part. Oh my
No,
goodness.
I guess I still play games because it still does the same thing. I
Mm.
still enjoy my time. It's a way for me to spend time with friends, even though they're not,
Mhm.
right next to me, and to keep in touch with some friends that I've had for
Mhm.
10 years because of video games. You know, um, and yeah, that's basically why.
Mm. No, absolutely. Those are I can yeah, I feel all those reasons to be honest because it's true. The game time is and it's just what you enjoy doing. I mean, if you enjoy doing it and it's legal, that's what I always say. It's legal and you enjoy doing it, you should do it. You know what I mean? If it's not legal, hey, you should question it. But if it if it's still legal and it's all good, then you keep doing it. All right. So
Yeah.
you've been playing games for quite some time. So do you have a favorite video game of all time?
That's really hard. I was trying so that this is the one that racked my brain that I
Mm.
was like, I don't have an answer for this one. Um, I
Like,
guess
hmm
it's gonna have to be Halo 2, and not because it
mm.
was a great game, okay, because there was a lot of flaws.
For hit,
But
yes, I
yeah,
agree.
for Halo 2,
I
like you
agree.
could use the sword forever. Like no. Um
Yeah, I was that was like on the tip of my tongue, but I didn't want to say anything because I don't know if you had a different opinion, but yeah,
No.
I that is you didn't need any other weapon. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. But not because it was like my favorite game ever made or whatever, but
Mm.
because of the friends that I had during that that online immersion of
Mm.
of gaming. That's like when multiplayer online was becoming more prevalent,
Right,
more
right.
more companies were doing that, and I had a big team battle group that I played with
Oh,
every
nice.
day.
Nice.
And we were a tight knit group of friends, and yeah, so I guess that would have to be my favorite
Mm.
for that
All right.
reason.
No, that's absolutely. I mean, did any of them? Did any of them like? Were any of these people were the ones from before of the people who would send you to the kitchen? No, this was like.
These were my
This
kitchen defenders. They were like,
these are the
you
kitchen
know,
defenders. Oh man, that's great.
yeah.
That's great. The kitchen defenders. They were like, "No, you go make the sandwich, mother." Yeah, that's.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. All right. So do you have like you started speaking of some gaming memories and everything, but do you have like that one gaming memory that y and it could be a great memory or it could be like something horrible that happened, but do you have like that one gaming memory that you will never ever forget?
I do. I okay.
Uh-oh. Wow.
So
This one.
that it is this one is both good and bad, but
Mm,
so I had that group of friends, that big
mhm,
team battle
mhm,
group of friends, and the memory that will probably stick with me till I die was um at that time, I think uh, this was like we were transitioning from Halo 2 to Halo 3. We're still
mhm,
playing together a lot,
mhm.
and the 2008 housing collapse happened,
Oh, yes.
and I joined the military so that I could keep my kids alive because I have
Mm,
2 kids.
mhm.
Um, and I remember telling them like, "Hey guys, we're playing a lot right now, but I'm I'm gonna join the army active duty." And my one buddy, he came on the comms and he said, "Just because you're good at shooting on this game doesn't mean you could go and
Oh
join the
my
army."
goodness. He really said that? That's oh
He
my
really
god.
said that. And then
Wow.
2 weeks later, I was off at boot camp, and I did a great job in the army. Thank you very much. No.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Wow, but that must have been something though. I mean, especially like to tell your kids and they were I mean, this is a little off topic, but were they sad? Were they happy? I mean, that's always a very controversial. So for some people, it's a great thing and they celebrate it, and for others, again, it's like one of those, oh my God, what are you doing? You know, because I was going to join the Air Force, and I got denied due to some other medical conditions that I have with my eyes, believe it or not, and this was when I was 18 years old. And well, I
Oh,
wasn't
wow.
denied. I wanted to be a pilot, you know, because when you go through the interview process, they ask you, you know, what's your actual purpose for joining. I wanted to be an astronaut and saw the Air Force as the progression to get into NASA. You know what I mean? And I knew
Mhm.
you had to be the best of the best, but they were like, you do not have natural 20/20 vision and you have astigmatism. You will never be able to fly a fighter jet or a space shuttle, and I was crushed. And I remember going home and my mother's like, "What's wrong?" I'm 18 years old at the time. She goes, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Oh, they said I couldn't fly this." My mother breaks down because she's like, "Oh my god, why do you want to join the military?" You know what I mean? Like there was no type of remorse, nothing. She was completely flabbergasted that I even considered wanting to join the military. You know what I mean? But I mean, with your kids, did they understand like what was happening, or were they like, "Oh no, our mom, we're not gonna have anyone to play with anymore"?
Unfortunately, they did not understand what was happening at the time.
Mm.
They were 1 and 3.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so which was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life.
Oh wow.
Um,
Mm.
is like, hey, we're not gonna have
Mm-hmm.
food if I
Mm-hmm.
don't do something quick. And I was married at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
my husband prior to the housing collapse was
Mm-hmm.
making pretty good money, but he made money off of commission. And when the
Mm.
collapse happened, nobody had really expendable cash.
Right. Right. Yeah, it was
And
bad. It was
so
bad.
yeah, so we basically just immediately went into debt, and it was like do or die situation, you
Wow.
know. Um,
Wow.
so so I did.
Mm. You did your
Yeah.
service, and I will say thank you. I'm not one of those people that's like, "What's wrong with you?" I would say thank you. I mean, unfortunately, the circumstance was what it was, and you got to put those skills to real life. Actually, you know what I mean? Did
Yeah.
did were they were? I mean, I know this sounds like a silly question, but were any of those actual gamer skills kind of used, or it was just because people joke about that if you're good at like Call of Duty, you could probably serve in the military. But is that really a thing, or is that just like a stupid nonsense comparison that people put together?
Um, I think that video games really do kind of mentally prepare you to be in that space. Like, okay,
Mm,
for example, in Call of Duty, right? Let's say you're doing like a capture the flag mission
mm-hmm,
and you are running as on voice comms as a squad, and
mm-hmm,
you put out a plan and you execute the plan, but you are looking around corners before you go
mm-hmm,
do the thing. You're
mm-hmm.
sneaking, you're doing the specific tactics that, when you get to basic, you do very similar tactics when you're
Yeah.
learning. They're like, all right, get
Oh,
on this
okay.
wall, make a plan, everybody's going to do this thing. and
Right,
and
right.
um and I do see it as useful. I
Mm,
had never shot a gun in my
mm-hmm,
life.
mm-hmm.
I grouped and zeroed in my first 9 shots in the
Wow.
military, uh
Just out of the
for
gate, like
out of
with
the
no
gate,
practice.
with no practice, never having shot anything but a BB gun.
That's pretty good. Not for nothing. I kind of know what that means. That's actually kind of good for first. I know. Did anyone like say anything like they were like, "Oh, this is your first time, really?"
Um, Nobody even asked me if it was my first time. They just kind of assumed I had experience.
That's hilarious. That's wow. That's something. That's interesting. Oh wow. Well, listen. Okay, so we're wow. I'm looking at the timer. We're past the time I usually try to stop. But we have one more question.
Okay.
This has been great. This is a great interview. So this is more of a technical question considering how technology has evolved, and you've played on older systems as well. But so how do you feel the actual evolution of technology has really impacted your own personal gaming experience? Has it been positive, negative, both, or has just there been some other evolution that you feel has really impacted your own gaming experience? Yeah, let us know.
um, I think that, well, two things. There's a positive side and a negative side.
Mm,
The positive side is that over time and evolution through the gaming industry, it's
mm.
brought more people in, more diversity. Like, people aren't super shocked when there's a female gamer now. They're like, "Oh yeah, like you play games because there's a gajillion of them." You know, and
Mm,
I mean, I
mhm.
wouldn't necessarily say somebody playing, Bubble Witch on their phone is a gamer, but they might classify themselves as a gamer, or I don't know what the game's really called, but but um, but like, I don't know. So I would say, as far as inclusion and diversity and
Mm,
the multitude of games that are available, that
mhm,
part's cool.
mm,
Um, the negative would be, we have evolved so much in graphics,
mm,
and they have applied that to these video games where you're shooting humans,
mm,
you know. And I think that there are a lot of parents who just want their kids to be like going to do something, and
mhm,
they don't really pay attention to what they're exposed to, you know.
mm, mhm,
And
mhm. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
I,
No, I know what
I,
you mean.
I, yeah, and I think that that can be mind altering.
Mm,
I don't think that it's like the case is that video games cause violence, but I do think that if you're seeing images of people in those circumstances over and over again,
mhm, mhm,
it's not great. Like, I don't
mm,
even like it in movies.
Mm-hmm.
when it's like over the top gore.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
that's my
That's an
stance
interesting
on that.
take on it. Yeah, yeah. No. Yeah, I mean you're I'm not this that's not a point I'll argue. Cuz even being a parent, I try to limit, the violence that my kids kind of see, even though I watch a lot of kung fu movies and people get their heads cut off, but it's so fake, you know what I mean? Like the
It's
head
super fake, yeah.
yeah, the sword comes in, it chops the dude's head off, his head goes flying in the air. That doesn't happen, you know what I mean? And it's just
Right.
so experienced, but you're right cuz in especially now, they look so lifelike.
Mhm.
It's almost like it makes them numb to the reality of it, which I
Right.
agree that that can be a problem. That it definitely, especially if they're exposed so much to it. And I'm in the camp that, if you're a parent, you should know what your kids are playing. You know what I mean? And try to direct your kids, especially when they're younger. When they're teens, you can only do so much to really, I guess, guide their what they enjoy and what they like. But at the same time, if you're the ones buying the games, you know what I mean? You don't have to get the games that you think are a problem. You don't have to get it for them. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting take. I mean, it's not something that's been talked about a lot, but it definitely is something that, I mean, it's especially with the current climate in America, with how things have been. Unfortunately, it's definitely something, because that's also tricky because I don't know if you remember in the I'm a little older, so I would say in the 1990s there was a big political movement against violence and gore in video games, to the
Mhm.
point that you had congressmen saying that like stupid blanket statements like everyone who plays video games is going to become some crazy rampaging murderer and stuff like that, which is clearly not the case. But
Right. I believe they tried to tie it to Columbine, which is why it
right,
was like
right,
in the 90s, cuz
yes,
like and which is that's crazy to me. That's not I like that's my point is not oh video
mm,
games cause violence, but it's more the attempting to be as realistic as possible
yes,
in the
yes,
imagery.
yeah,
That's the part where I'm like, ooh, maybe we could
right,
keep it more cartoony, or it could be
right.
like an alien or something, you
Right.
know?
And I
Um,
yeah, and I
yeah.
agree with that. I do agree with that statement and that side because, as especially from both the parent and, sometimes it's just you don't want to see a lot of gory things either, you know what I mean? Like that's like ugh.
Yeah.
Like for me
Yeah.
personally, I'm not, and this is from the guy who watches the dudes getting their heads cut off and flying in the air.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't
Yeah.
watch, I can't watch a gruesome horror movie that looks super realistic, but I could watch a dude get cut in half in a kung fu movie and like fly apart, and it's like the fakest thing in the world. It's so anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so well, Cosmic, thank you very much for being on the show. This was a genuine pleasure. I will not send you back into the kitchen, but if you ever use that name for streaming, please let me know. And if I call you that in a game, don't take it offensively, please. Just because I'm sure everybody will be like, "What the heck did he just call her?"
Yeah. Now we have an inside joke. Now you know. No.
Oh my! I know people are going to be like, "What is going on here?" They'll know if they listen to the podcast, though. If they listen to this, they'll get the joke. Otherwise, they're just going to be in the dark. So see, they got to listen. They got to listen to the podcast every week.
That's
Oh
right.
man. This was great. So when you start streaming, also let me know because I'll definitely support you in that because that sounds like a good time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I will. I'll let you know.
All right. All right. So let me just wrap up and, just everyone listening, remember that you are awesome. Jesus loves you and ganadora.